Hello everyone, and welcome to this quick update video on airline piloting. Now, as people are probably aware, or if you're new then maybe not, but airline piloting has been updated recently and has quite fundamentally changed how the system works. So we're just going to do a quick video going over the changes compared to the old system, but this is not a complete replacement tutorial. So, first things first, one of the changes is the Tier 5 aircraft has been switched from the old, I think it was a 757, and it has been switched to this 787 instead, just a bit more of a modern design. They have also switched out the 747, Jesus, we'll shut that up. Right. They've also switched the 747 to an Airbus A330, I believe it is. Yep, A330neo. Now this plane, it may seem like a downgrade to some people because this plane is much smaller than the 747, but at the same time it's much smaller, which means you can actually move it around without having to worry about constantly hitting things, which is a bit more of an improvement than anything. So we're just going to quickly use this plane for the purpose of showing the differences. Now this thing has got quite the wingspan on it, so we've still got to be careful of that. And we are going to just head round to the start point for the airline. So one of the first changes you'll notice is that there is now a timer that forces you to wait while your passengers board. Now this is very similar to the Collins co-piloting, if you've watched that sort of showcase. It's a very similar system to that now. Right, we'll park up and activate it, and then you'll see for yourself. So we need to get the main body of the aircraft in position, press E, and there we go. So we're taking 100 seconds to board. And below you can see also now, instead of having the 4 predetermined stops, it now tells you where you need to go, and that can change each time. So we're being told to go to Tropical International, which in short terms is PIA, and that is the one up here, near Liberty City actually. Although it's not that one, it's just near Liberty City. It is this one up here, with the dual runway. So that's where we're heading, once we wait the rest of the another minute for this to finish. Okay, there we are. The engines are turning back on and we are now allowed to go to the location. Now, even though we need to actually go sort of in a northerly direction, with this plane we can't actually take off to the north because we're not allowed to use the jet runway. So we're going to have to take off from Maine and then turn. So we'll get set up and get our ATC. Now, as you can see, 100 seconds to just sit around waiting for the boarding to complete is quite the long time. And I'm not really sure why it's that long, because even Collins Co. only makes you wait for 1 minute. But it's just something we're going to have to put up with now. So we'll take off and we will head over to PIA. Now, I haven't actually noticed anyone saying it, but if anyone's thinking, oh, shouldn't be flying over the city with the new rule that's in place, that rule is targeted at people who are trying to stunt fly through the buildings and things like that, and they are quite likely to hit a helicopter. With a very large jet like this, and giving sort of enough altitude over the city itself, we should be perfectly fine and not infringing on the rules. Okay, so we are coming into PAA and we are going to have to hope and pray that the airport actually loads up. Because if the runways don't load, then we're going to be in for a very annoying time of just circling. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we can now announce that we're landing on main. I don't want to do that before it loads in case I waste other people's time. But here we come in. Nice gentle landing. And we need to drop them off at Terminal 1, which is exactly where he is. Which is a little bit irritating, but if we have to wait, then we will jump cut it. Through the magic of editing. In fact, we'll take the long way, and then we can fuel up while we wait. As there's no other planes coming. Interesting that the skin is Garuda as well. It's not a massively well-known airline. There we are. Right. And this is another thing that I think is going to cause some potential issues with this new system of airline, is having to sit here and wait for other people. Because you can think this server is almost empty. There are only 8 of us. Now if you think a full 32-man server, especially some of the like server 1 and 2 with the lower level players, that's going to be a lot of planes all sitting in a big line waiting to use the waiting to access the terminals so that they can drop off their passengers. And I mean, you can see it's quite a decent sized circle, but this is a big plane, and this plane is much too large to sort of be trying to fit in. I can't get around that lamppost either, so I couldn't get in there even if I wanted to. So I do believe this is going to cause quite a lot of frustration for people. But we will either give it a little bit of a time lapse, or if it turns out to take quite a while, we'll just jump cut to when I'm able to actually drop off my passengers. Okay. Oh, Mr. Excellent is moving out the way, or has moved out the way, so now we can stop and do the deboarding ourselves. Now notice we haven't actually been paid yet, whereas with the with my company one, I will be credited the vouchers as soon as I press E. I don't have to wait for the deboarding. Whereas with this one, we are having to wait. So once again, we will fast forward to when the deboarding is complete and we will see what we get. Okay, so as you can see, the deboarding is complete. We have been given quite a decent sum of money, which obviously has been buffed to deal with this massive time increase that this now takes. And we are now boarding for the next destination. We also obviously got airline pilot vouchers. We didn't get 627, I've had some before that, but we got a decent amount. And in fact, if we wanted to stop, like I'm going to stop the job because I'm doing this just for the tutorial, I'm not grinding it, we can do stop job, and that will cancel the boarding. Even though the boarding's automatic once you finish deboarding, you can actually stop the boarding process. The only thing is that because the engines have been forcefully turned off, you then have to forcefully turn them back on. So we'll have to wait for them to turn on, and then we can get moving. I mean, you can also forcefully shut the doors again if you want to. As you can see, the cargo doors open now when the boarding is being completed, but we can shut them with the 8 menu as well. And that is flickering like hell. No. That is essentially the changes that have been made to this system. So I believe if you check out the original tutorial, that is more for actual tutorial purposes, actually showing how it's done. But keep in mind that it has now changed from the set routes to this new boarding and waiting and being given a random location system. Also, if you check out the previous showcase that I did for Airline Pilot, you'll be able to see the difference in income between this video and that video. For one stop there, I think we were earning about 350,000-ish. Can't remember exactly. But as we saw there, I got 503,000 for that landing. So that's in an attempt to balance this difference. Who knows if it does or not. I imagine it probably won't feel much like a balanced system with all this waiting about we're going to be having to do. Not just waiting for the actual boarding and deboarding, but waiting for other players to get out the way. Because if you're fourth in line to a terminal, that's not 100 seconds deboard and then 100 seconds boarding. That is 500 seconds to deboard and then 100 seconds boarding, because you're having to wait for everyone else. Or even worse, it could be 1,000 seconds, because they have to deboard and then board, and then the next guy deboards and boards, and then the next guy deboards and boards. And that's 200 seconds per reboarding. So if you're far back in the queue, who knows? It could be very, very irritating. Luckily, I'm already a 100 airline pilot, and I don't particularly enjoy it anymore, really. Even before the update, I stopped doing it. I just did it for the leveling. Cargo I still enjoy. Cargo hasn't changed, so that should be fine. But yeah, so luckily I'm not going to have to join in the grind that's going to ensue. But anyway, thank you for watching this quick update video on airlines. I do like the new airplane models, but as I say, I think there's going to be quite a few issues with this new timed boarding system. But if you enjoyed, please do leave a like and subscribe for more tutorials and showcases on Transport Tycoon for 5M.